Hi there. So I just needed some relaxing image here, and I'm not sure if I'm actually done with these videos and audios. Maybe so, not fully, but on here maybe. We will see. I don't have to make that decision today. I just have to decide for just now. So, and I like to talk a little bit more still, whether I keep them up or not. Otherwise I have them for myself, or maybe unlisted to someone special if needed sometime or whatever. So I wonder where I was last. I don't really exactly remember. Yeah, I think I talked about stones and so on. Yes, I did, and smoke and so on. So I will fire and whatnot describe. But there is also this whole where you can communicate with other dimensions. And we have touched on to it so sometimes. I think maybe I talked about this. I'm not sure how far I got into that though. I must check it out. Yeah, I think I talked about a few things here already. I will just, I'm not sure though. Maybe I should. I will just skip a bit here. I think I did talk about how you can reach other dimensions by wax and water, and maybe I didn't. Maybe I just I don't know. How should I even remember now? It's bad when you continue with something for a few days or weeks after. How would you remember what you're doing? I will just skip a bit because anyways, to plan, I have mentioned this. I remember that. How you can do how you can think about going into Crystal Cave or whatnot. Yes, I have various examples for that. Yeah, and maybe have keywords for the stages if there are several steps, so that it makes it easier for you to remember it if you do it by yourself. Well, then how to create a space for this anyways. And also you can guide other people through the same process, whether you do it for yourself or so. So if there is sharp light, first cover that so that, curtains. Actually, when I practice this, really practiced visualization as a practice, as a as a tool, then at the beginning I'm creating through what I wanted to see with my inner eye. Then I sat out in the sunlight in the balcony oftentimes, or at the balcony, you say, or at overall in the sunlight out. And I thought it was much easier if I was indoors. So I'm not sure. This is always the case. If you do inner journeys, I think the sunlight can be awesome. But anyways, for this going through another dimension, maybe this is also, you will not be distracted as much by shiftings of the light. It can come a cloud or it can change, so it's easier to be calm. Okay. And not to be too close to phones or doorbells or high music or sudden light or interruptions from kids or animals or so on, because that will break the flow. Yeah. So it's not exactly, it doesn't have to be bad, it's just that you won't be able to relax as much, maybe if you think about that, what could interrupt. And also, yeah, it will interrupt it, obviously then. But it doesn't mean that you can't do it another time or so on. If so, it's not so it's ruined as such. You can always try again. But it's a good, especially from the beginning, it's a good choice. And also other sounds that we usually don't pay attention to, like voices in the background or sounds of the landscape or even traffic, can be disturbing to this experience and may confuse you a bit. So if you need to, then you can play some soft background music without words, just to mask or to block out this other background sound. And you also need a comfortable chair or sofa or so on to relax in. And then lit a candle and incense if you can deal with that, or aroma oils, that some gentle scent like rose, lavender, myrrh, thyme or sandalwood is good if you want to travel to past worlds. I'm very unused to speaking English now. I feel a stutter on every word. So yeah, if you use those scented candles, you get both scent and a candle at the same time if you want to. Some of them are really good, some are awful, but and both the scent and the candle is equally important to help soften the barriers in between the dimensions. Also, candles give nourishment to the spirit world. It goes from the physical to the spirit. It's like a sacrifice, you could say, offering to them. It's like food or something. Yeah. And it also invites them. Anyways, also try to remember that there are some periods of time or old cultures that if you think they're very fascinating, or if you have had dreamed about them, or about past lives that you have had, you can create a start to reach this past time by using that culture. For example, that you walk into an old Egyptian pyramid or something, and when you have journeyed back, there may be signs of other lives that are more important to discover. So you can then end up in Scandinavia or with Vikings, but you can end up there even if you enter into a pyramid in Egypt. So it's important just to have an entering point. And so decide also in advance, or ask the other person then if there are any specific questions that are important or problems to focus in on. For example, if you have fear for heights, or always choose kind of wrong partner or think so, it's not important. It's not necessary to focus on something, but it will help your psyche to find, it's like tracking, to find the right track path among all those visions from old lives. And before you start this relaxation, use a crystal ball or something, a larger rock or so on, stone, rock maybe, I don't know if that is the same word as stone, to me it is. Anyways, and identify paths in it with a light from a candle. I just need some water. And also you can use you can use some crystals like agates or celestite, like a half sphere, it works like a crystal cave. So so you should look into that crystal and use that as a focus then. And when it feels good, then put this bowl or cave down and then enter the relaxation. And if it's a bowl that is thick so you can't see through it, but it has natural markings that looks like a map of the world, that is something you can use as well, like rubin or jaspis or malachite or agate that have patterns on it. I hope that's the right words in English for those rocks. There are others as well, but you can identify land mass or islands that you can travel back to in them. And then you can put down the rock. I call it rock stone. Should I call it that? Anyways, and then close your eyes and just focus on the light. And maybe you feel like you need to blink or open and close your eyes. You can do that. Even if you blink a lot, like with your eyes, that's okay. So, to start your journey then, you relax. I've described this before, so. And even if you work alone, it can be good to speak out loud. Meanwhile you're journeying. As if you described it to a friend. You can maybe record it even. For example, I'm going into the forest and I'm following this path of light that shines down from the trees, or I would have a little bit hard time to do that, I think, but because I will get out of focus. But it's really good because you can. I've done journeys with others, so to speak, where they talk meanwhile and tell me what they see. Maybe not all the time. They get quiet and then they tell me a little bit of it and so on. And it's easier to recall and also know if you guide someone where to go. To go further from there, and what questions to ask, of course, and so. But yeah, you can try out the various things. But after a while, if you would, it wouldn't be distracting to you. So, and it's way easier to keep yourself there, also not falling asleep or, so, and remembering. So improvise anyways. Sorry. How it feels to you, and after a while you will have forgotten all the steps you would go or the journey backwards or so on. It will just develop by itself. So you can record it, but at the same time you can also be quiet long periods, because even if you think you talk more or less all the time about your experience, you will go into it, so you think you have been talking, but you are absorbed in it. So maybe it's a little bit quiet when you listen to it sometimes, but it doesn't matter. That's okay. And if you guide someone else, then let them relax and guide them by talking softly and slowly, which I don't do here, although I always call them ASMR. But that is also, as I've said, it's because my preference personally is when it's just the sound when someone talks. It's not so much the pace. Actually, I get ASMR more from the sounds. I can enjoy when someone speaks quite quickly, actually, ASMR wise. But okay, it have some impact also. But this is not that. But anyways, it gives the ASMR effect, which is relaxing as well. So it's good. And it's important to have prepared this path meditation or path workings or visualization in advance. I have even done that here, and I know when I have like following a path myself. Meanwhile, and that can be strange because you're doing two things at the same time. Both you can get quiet for too long, and if you're just discovering what you see. I mean, it's good when you listen to someone guiding you that they keep talking, though. I mean, you can have small pauses when you say you will, but otherwise you start to wonder what happened, and so, and that yeah, it's fun though to just see where it goes, but better to be prepared. And if you get then more experience to guiding others, these steps that you have been taken doesn't have to be as strict, or the questions or so on. They can be joined or changed in various ways. So, but the more you engage the other person, the richer this experience will be then. So you think of it as if you go beside them, like that you share what they see what they see, even sometimes before they see it. So I used to, when I do this, when they find their totem animal and so on, I mean, we can have many, and we can have it depends on what you call it. It have various names that are more correct or so maybe, but whatever, I call it like animal spirit guides, helpers, and some of them follow us for our whole lifetime, and some are more activated or active at a certain period because we need them right then and there, or they have messages to convey, or we develop certain gifts that they also have, and so then I used to see what those who do journeys see. It doesn't always happen, but I used to know it way in advance, like, and sometimes I know even when people don't do journeys. But anyways, it pops up like, but also it's like, it's wonderful that you can do it with them if you can. So you discover what they discover, and it's way easier if you sit there with them in person, because you can feel their whole presence and their breathing and everything. So you can join them in a different, easier way then. So whatever scene you use, you will need a path, or a little, it can be a trail in the forest, or flood, or not flood, you say river. It's the same. Flood is like the word for river in Swedish. I'm sorry if I change words like that sometimes. Or like an entrance to this world that is past then. And you will feel how long this path is that this person needs to walk before she can do this journey back in time. So don't stress. It can take a whole hour from beginning to end, this whole process. And when you've been walking through this whatever path you've chosen, and when you're ready, see them with your inner mind or inner eye, or describe to your client then. either a door or something other abstract, like something between this world and the next. And if it's more abstract, you can go down some stairs and count from 10 to 1, and then from 1 to 10 when you go up again after you've done this journey. So you go down the stairs into another time and place then from the beginning. Or there can be a boat that reaches the shore where you step off the boat, or a portal of rainbow kind of light, that becomes like a shining curtain. Or to reach a point of light after a tunnel and walk into this glistering light, or through a fog that suddenly lifts. Whatever you feel at the time is right for you to do them. It could be good to know what in advance. So, and to count down like that is a powerful but simple way to transport yourself between the levels of dimensions, actually. And when you go into this other world or the spiritual plane, you need a moment to focus, both because of the time and the place. And childhood used to be a good start. So think of yourself as where you were when you were 5 years in that life. You or the client can look down at your feet and feel as if you have what clothes or so on you have on, or some just look at their shoes. And also another thing that I have experienced very helpful when it comes to moving back in time is like thinking that if you lay down, you feel like you drift backwards, if you understand, inwards and backwards. When you lay there, it becomes like the right direction to go. I mean, your physical sensation of it. Anyways, and then you need to find after you checked a bit in your clothes, maybe find a known place where you feel at home. It can be a building that you walk into, or you can walk alongside a path there, also through a field or a forest or even a desert. So since there is no time here, you can walk many miles in a few seconds, but it can also be shown from the beginning, this place. It can be like a boat on the ocean, a marketplace, or a sandy track, or an old village, a tent, or some shed made out of what do you say? Skin sounds bad, but there is a word for that. But anyways, it can be a church or a temple or a kitchen. No matter what, you will feel like this place radiates safety. But you also have to create other things that were important if nothing pops up like that. Then look for or suggest figures that people or that comes towards you, or towards the other person if it's someone else you did it for, then that they come closer and closer. And it may be someone from the past life that call a kid to come home, for example, or so on. And when you are in this building, that may not be a house, but it could be a hut or a temple or a tent, or focus on unusual furniture or details in the big building or so. Then you can afterwards look into the period of time on internet. So be attentive to detail. Attend to detail. So also, is there any windows? Is there a view? Is there a floor? I mean, if there are several floors or something. And if someone else is present, and if so, what are they doing and what are they saying? And if you doubt, focus on a specific item, like a mirror on the wall or an image and so on, and build a scene around that certain object. And when this scene have given you all your insights that may have been a little bit further or not too clear than from the beginning, as every 5-year-olds in this life you live now would be also, sit down on a chair or on the floor, on the bed and so on, and count slowly forward 5 years. And see if you still are at the same place, or have the room or the people or the place changed. Have the family become larger, or have some important person gone away, not disappeared, but where are they, like? And try to follow yourself out from this house in the next step, and continue like going forward in 5 years at a time. And at each experience, ask yourself if you're at the same place and what have changed and so. And then more and more connected to emotions, joy, to get married or join the army or whatever. And what are those around you think about what's happening, and so what you feel around the events that you pick up. And if you come to really embrace, then try smaller time gaps. So maybe a year or even months to see what's happening. And sorry, they are still doing things here on the road, digging and doing stuff. Anyways, so what a person would very seldom or never see their own death. Most people get more and more tired and stay more in bed. And death itself is so sudden that usually it just becomes empty, where you can't see anything during the time period where you should have died. So it could be, I mean, it differs what people think about that. Some think you can actually explore the death itself and the continuation of it to realize that there is nothing to fear in death. But also, if you've had a lot of fear in that life, if you think of it as that, then it could be a very terrifying experience also to explore that exact moment. So if you come very close to where you think death or suffering is unavoidable or so on, or very close, you can also get yourself out of there and bless the one you were then. And yeah, so go forward into the spirit realm. You can make that gap, because now we have new choices and changes and so on. Also, if you come to a very difficult period of life, it's different what your aims are. Also, if you want to go a shamanic path, as I've now journeyed into the Jaguar of the West, that's like doing heavy work connected to dying, and very, very fun and fantastic also. It's like the most rewarding so far. I mean, really. But then you dive into it for the purpose of that, and it's different. But for this then if you also, you don't need to explore that in so much now. So, because it is a preparation time for quite some time before you go into that other direction of the medicine wheel. First the south and the snake. You work with it's quite a lot already there, so you shouldn't like jump into that. But anyways, if you get to a difficult period of your life, then you can like move past it. Like, for example, if you recover from a disease, you don't have to experience that disease again. So or if you escape or get released from prison or break free from a violent relationship or something, and if you feel like you can't move away from it, say to yourself that this won't happen again, and that you will find this person that you have lost in a different life or a past life or so on. And when this image of the past seems to have an ending, as for example, if you're surrounded by and happy and surrounded by your children's children and so on, then gently walk back through the path where you came and do this entrance point in whatever you did, but backwards then. Count backwards from 1 to 10 if you did count, and say say number 1. At the number 1 you say that now you're back where you are, and mention that now I'm here in this room in this town, or whatever you say, like, and who you are and what age or so on. And when you are ready, then you can open your eyes and still keep the curtains covering the you see how I talk, I'm really bad at finding English words, the windows, so speak gently and collect the pieces, like, and let it take some time. Also, don't rush. Just sit there and try to memorize the scenes if you're alone, or discuss the meaning with the client when they get back to this now time, so to speak, and what they can learn from it in the future. And then gently pull the curtains aside to let in some daylight, or lit the the lamps, I mean, very slowly, one by one. And since this can be, or it's always, if you don't fall asleep, or it is a strong emotional experience, you should do everything very gently. So, and if it's fitting, or if you feel there is time left, you can then scry about the future, look into the crystal ball, or use tarot cards, or to see if you can pick up on some details that you missed or want to understand. And if nothing happened, then it can happen that the person or client that shall do this journey or path working don't see anything, or is very aware of where you are presently, even though they relax, and don't panic or get like all tied up, like tighten. It's not different than when a person or a medium get in touch with a person or some being that is totally unfamiliar to the client, or when you interpret the tarot card, and the person you read for can't understand how that in any way is connected to them. It can be so that the other person, it can be them, that they have some blockage, or they are very logical or very physical, like grounded like such. So it takes a little practice to loosen those boundaries. Or they can have these preconceptional ideas, like they will think that these move from or towards a past life will be like instant and without problems, like as if you turn on a film or a DVD, like. And it can be like that, and it is often like that, even with those who have no experience, but still generally our most past lives was quite hard, I mean, in everyday coping. Although in a different time, and that's why it's hard to remember those rather than dramatical events. So I mean, if they were extreme events, it usually is that which we come in contact with, if there is something. But otherwise, they can be quite ordinary. Although it may have been difficult at times, it just floats by like, everyday life. So what you need to do to the other person or yourself, if you panic because you can't see things, just assure that person that it's nothing wrong and that different person discover their past in different or in their own way. So, and when they're ready also to receive it. So it can also be so that the client, their clairvoyance work rather through psychic sensing or clear ascension. And so go back to this 5-year step and ask what they feel and what they perceive about how they look or how the past lives were. Maybe they don't see, but they have a sense. And if the place feels warm or cold, or if the clothes feels like rough, or if they are smooth, and what do they feel is around them. And you can also go to an event rather than an age, to a wedding, or when they started working, or when they left the home for real, let's say the first time in that past life, and work around these markings, go back in time, and then forward in this past life. How did you meet your husband, and did you have children soon after the wedding, or so on. And if there is still no spark that they recognize, then try more relaxation, and then start to describe what you can see and hear and feel, and ask them to imagine that and join you in these descriptions when they are ready. Or you can also go back to the other person's existing dreams or connection to special cultures and ask them describe a certain very vivid dream they have had. So you can work from that dream. And if all else fails like that, you can ask the person to find the path in the crystal bowl again, and then move beyond it, and ask the person to start to describe a scene inside of the bowl, what they see, hear, or feel. And meanwhile that is developed, their own past life will become more and more real. So maybe they need to start at a more physical place rather than from within, right? So yeah. So if you think it's hard to remember past lives, you can do the crystal pyramid, for example. I have described it before, but you can try it alone also several times to rediscover this enthusiasm of paths in the past, let's say. And you can also use it to help individuals or groups to journey back into the future. I almost said in the past, but you can also work in the future. So I mentioned about this, so I won't go through it again, but probably you can find it, or anyways. I mean, you can make it your own if you haven't heard that, or if I don't have that video up or whatever. But you will come to this magnificent chamber with a pointy roof as high as you can see. So you also see stars within it. And there are many windows. Each of them show different views. One from an exotic land and another from a past life. And that contains knowledge that will be of help for you and so on. So continue and choose the window where the past is shown then, and you will feel drawn to it. Look at the scene and describe what you see, and you also discover that beside this window there is a little very tight door, exactly the size that you can get through it. And this lock is very rusty, and since it haven't been opened many years, but the key is in there, and it turns slowly, it opens, so you can go through it, and you know it very well, because this is the path into a world that you were once part of, and you can soon see those same people and buildings that you once knew very well. So explore them again and remember what you needed to remember. And when you're done, you can continue inside of this pyramid and say hello to those wise ones there, or leave the pyramid and thank the guardian. You can also explore different lifetimes through the same window of the pyramid, since this past world will be a different one each time you look out through that window. And dreams also offer you spontaneous portal to the astral or the spiritual kingdoms, both in the past and to communicate with our spiritual guides and angels and so, and also past relatives that have moved on can also come through dreams and comfort us when we have sorrow, or talk to us and tell us something we need to know, and so on. They are always around, even if we don't experience them consciously. So dreams is probably the easiest way to talk to those that are not any longer with us. So even if you can't remember that you have any clairvoyant experiences of them, dreams also help us that are more trained mediums or professional clairvoyants. So because they can identify or communicate with the guides of clients. I mean, in the dreams, those our guides can communicate with their guides and relatives and so on. Yeah. And also our own. That is the problem. Sometimes when I should do a reading for someone, I start and they just talk about what I need to hear, because I haven't taken the time to really listen to what they want to say to me. So now I have to. I mean, I do it at least, like I sit down for a while, at least once a week, and have like a staff meeting with my guides. But they communicate more often than that. I tune into them several times every day and listen to them, but not for a longer while. When I do readings for others, I really prepare and really go deep and really, I take time before so I can be relaxed, and afterwards, and I really, really go into doing the best job I can. And I don't spend that time by myself communicating with my guides all the time. So, and my ancestors. So sometimes that's their that's their window to communicate what they need to say to me. So sometimes they won't give me information about others until I listen through what they need to say to me first. Then I see when it changes, so it opens up for them, the other ones, to come through. So yeah, and they can also help you in dreams even if you're very very open to them. You may not give that time. Many who ask about that, about how to, they want to see, they say, and then they have their schedule is so packed, they have no space whatsoever to relax even, and then even if you are very highly psychic, I mean, probably it would come through anyways then, but most would anyways need to create some space and some relaxation to even be allow it to come through, to be receptive. So yeah. So sometimes dream can tell a person that someone far away have died, or that they're happy and peaceful. I've seen that recently, actually, about someone being very happy and at peace, but you can't really say that. I mean, it's not to ever, like, you don't know, if you don't know what people have, how they perceive, if they think they're just gone or what they think. I mean, spontaneously, if someone just had passed, I wouldn't even say that. I may indicate that, like, somewhat, but not as I've seen it, because I don't know, I feel like I step on their toes. It's such a, it seems sort of banal in a way to come and say that, just so usually I don't. Depends on how we talk and if they are open to those kinds of things. I think about that and so, but otherwise I'm happy that I see that anyways. But in war times and so on, usually they saw it before the official, like, recognize. I mean that when they came to tell you what have happened and so on, if they died, or sometimes that soldier or so on would say in the dreams that they had survived but were captured and so on. And although the authorities saw them as dead, they could then show up without harm after the war had ended and so on. So, yeah. Listen to your dreams. Because we are relaxed when we dream, then our subconscious mind can go beyond the limits of this time and beyond this earthly existence and travel far without the distance of physical reality. So we can travel in our dreams very far. And also our clairvoyant powers, if we call them that, or abilities, they are active at night. So whether you believe that we journey in our minds or that we can do that, we use this a spiritual body we all have inside of or outside of our physical body, maybe actually, but anyways, but connected very closely to it usually, to journeys in other dimensions during sleep. So I wonder for how long I shall talk now. Maybe I should pause a bit. Anyways, we'll go on for a bit. Those natives from Siberia or southern of Sahara and so on, they call these nightly journeys or pathwalk, you can call them also. But at night, those astral journeys, they say, or out of body sleep states. So, and those old Egyptians and Greek ones, they built even dream temples, and those who slept there often had healing or prophetic dreams. Oh, how wonderful that would be to have a dream temple. What? I need to create a dream temple. Welcome to my dream temple. Awesome. Yeah, maybe I need to call this the Dream Temple. My next channel, I have to change the names. Welcome to the Dream Temple. That's awesome. Anyways, yeah, that's awesome. Now I have my new vision at place here, my new dream. So, yeah. But we can also create this without dreams, so to speak, to go beyond the physical limits and create dreams to contact angels, spirit guides, or wise ancestors, or beloved family members, or some that aren't here around us anymore. Yeah. So you can call on, even in dreams, you can call on whomever it is that you wish to meet in your dream. You can prepare for that, to do like dream work. And you can also get help and guidance from your other guides and the angels, as well as asking your deceased loved ones if they are happy in the life after that and whatnot. And that can be really healing, even if this sadness is very new, and if you haven't had contact with them since they passed, but you still would welcome their presence. And you can ask the ancestors that you would want to meet when you sleep. Then you can ask them to guide you in some coming days. And if you already feel that who is your angels and guides and you know them, you can also ask them to meet you at the astral or spiritual plane in sleep. And if you haven't fully contact with them, they will still show up in your dreams and maybe give you a sign of their blessings for you. It's good to ask for it. That's the thing. We can sit there and be all prepared. I mean, all think that, oh, I wish I could, but you can actually ask them. So to do that anyways, to create this clairvoyant dream, to talk to angels, guides, or spiritual or actual ancestors or deceased family member or so, start preparing the minutes before you fall asleep. Try to avoid to talk to anyone, either it is on the phone or emails or personally, at least the hour before you create this contact. And maybe you can listen to some music that have no words, or it's good also to take a bath or a shower before and keep like little candlelights lit. It gives nourishment to them, as I said. And if you sleep alone or if you sleep with someone, it doesn't matter, but maybe you want your partner or roommate to share this ritual. So it could be of help if you both mourn the same person. Otherwise, you can call on your personal angels and ancestors, and during this shared ritual, and ask them to bless the other one. And if your partner or roommate is nervous of this, don't really feel comfortable with this spiritual world, or hesitate about it, then it's better to choose time when you are fully not alive, alone. I mean, no. So you will activate these psychic senses through the physical to become to create your clairvoyant dream. First, create a connection with scent, to use your psychic sense of scent, since this is the easiest way to open yourself to other dimensions. Through thousands of years, they have used incense like rose. What is that called now? In Swedish it's nejlika. I don't know right now. Lavender, sandalwood, myrrh, sage, and frankincense, and so on, that I've mentioned before, that are efficient to create those portals in dreams and contact guides, angels, or ancestors. And if you seek a presence in the dreams from deceased relative, use a scent that they loved, or if it was a person that you liked, that liked to be outdoors, then you can use tree scents like pine, cedar, or this also the word that I don't really call amber. Anyways, and you can also burn it like oil. You can say that also the favorite perfume from this person, or if they had like when they shave, a special shaving or whatever scent. You can have that on your pillow. So oil scents is less in your face, in your nose, than incense in the bedroom before you should sleep. So you can choose for yourself. But also to lit a candle activate your clairvoyant powers or abilities. Psychometry is good to psychically touch, because that's a part of this clairvoyant process. And if you work with an angel or a guide, keep your crystal bowl if you have, or your rock or so on, like if you have an opal or amethyst or so on, to contact your angel guide. Hold that one. And if you want to reach an ancestor, spiritual ancestor, or a blood-related ancestor that lived many years ago, rudil quartz or amethyst is a good focus point. And to get in touch with a loved past relative that gave wise advice when he or she lived, choose a thing that they gave you, something that you have inherited and that reminds you of them. You can also choose a book or something that she loved, a photo of the person, or a postcard that have been sent to you when this person was on vacation or so, or a favorite jewelry or scarf or something that is especially filled with this person's important energies that they had a lot. Like just the other day I went through pictures of those who have passed that I will keep up now during All Saints Day, and also Wayne, and there was also my grandma's one of my grandma's purse that she always had, and that's really impregnated with her energies, because she carried it around, so. And also use your psychic sense of taste is another way to wake up those psychic senses for your dreams. You can choose to eat something that past person, that was their favorite. It can be something small and sweet, that's good. And traditionally they have used like small sweet cookies, not for a sugar addict as me then, but that have been used to remember past relatives, and to the memory of the cookies that they ate on the All Saints Day, then 2nd of November or so, or when you remembered the dead in the family. So you can also make crystal water for the angels or guides by putting an angel crystal into the like blue angelite, dark red amethyst, or green or lavender color fluorite, or jade or rosen quartz in a glass of water, and put it in there in the midst of the day and keep it there until you go to bed. And then take the crystal out of the water and mix all this water into a drink of sort, or you can mix it with some other juice or something that you want, if you want some taste, or drink it as it is. But you should really check that's safe. Certain crystals you should not ingest, or the water that they have been in. And also for clairaudience, you can play soft music to call for angels and guides. Like there is a city that is called Lilac. I don't know if you can find it here on YouTube or somewhere. From New Page. Anyways, you can see if you find something you enjoy anyways that are spiritual to you. So you can call on those who have recently also passed through music. You don't use words because words distract. But music that they loved when they were in life. And to someone more foreign, I mean, even more past ancestor in the, what to say, like further back anyway. You can use music that is based on natural sounds like the ocean or so on. Yeah. And for this whole dream ritual, you can do this then. You can lit an aroma lamp, as I said, or a little candle or a night lamp so that you see when you work, and you ask while you look into the flame that you get protection from all that is frightening or would have bad intent, and also ask that you should only come like peace and love and be present in the room when you receive your dreams, so that you will just receive loving, wise advice. And you can also specify, while you look into the candle, the spiritual being or person that you wish to talk to in the sleep. You can also ask that guide, angel, or ancestor that is the best for you at this time to come to you in sleep. You don't have to address which one it would be. Then eat and drink and focus on the person or the spiritual being that you wish to be in touch with, and imagine that they share this food with you. You can also, if you want, leave a piece of food or something to drink as an offering beside the bed. It's a very old tradition. And then in the morning take it into the yard or give it to the birds or the little animals or so. Because the spirits or guides or angels and so on, they just eat the essence of the life force of that food. It's not the physical part of it. So, and then turn on the music and let these sounds recall the presence of this person and how they were when they were singing and laughing in life and so, and use this music, and either you let it carry you in your mind to the kingdoms of the angels, or just let the rhythm or the shape create words in your mind transferred from the angels, guides, or ancestors. And if you do this regularly, this music will speak with a voice as clear as those, as I talked about, those whispering trees in a video recently. So and eventually hold this thing, the crystal or the photograph, and speak from your heart, and by saying like, come to me in your dreams, and you say the name if you don't want to address which one, so that we can walk together in sleep, and so that I can feel your loving presence as my protector when I wake in the morning. So, or something like that. And now you also can address or say specific questions that you need answered to, or just send peace to this person if it was someone who died suddenly or so on, if you didn't have the opportunity to say goodbye or clear misunderstandings or so. And place this item on your pillow if it's too big or uncomfortable, beside your bed, so you can touch it when you fall asleep, and blow out the aroma lamps and candles and lay down, and imagine this person or a very gentle silver-like fog from which this chosen person will walk into your dreams, into your mind, and let this music continue to play very, very, very softly or quietly. So, and even if you don't dream about this person or angel, you will be aware of a golden light that is in your dreams, and you will wake up filled with peace So not rehearse, but repeat this. You can say rehearse actually, until you are receptive enough. Yes. Yeah. Repeat this once a week. Or sorry. It would be better if it's the same night, like Monday, Friday, or Saturday is traditional ones. And always use the same things and the same music. And it won't take long until you, if you're patient, then we'll get contact. So, but don't use both Monday, Friday, and all those 3 days. But if you do it on a Monday, do it again on a Monday then. And if you have a Friday, do it next Friday. And if it's a Saturday, then do it next Saturday or Saturdays then. Okay. And with time, maybe other ancestors and relatives and angels and guides and so on will fill your dreams and show you beautiful places in other kingdoms. So have paper and pen, but depending how I always have it in the bed, but you can have it beside the bed maybe. If you have a large bed, you can have it in bed. So as soon as you wake up, you can write down the symbols or messages that you had from your dreams before they vanish. And also, as I said before, don't move. If you don't change position with your body, the moment you wake up, try to remember when you lay there, a little bit anyways, until you turn, if you need to turn to right. Yeah, so otherwise you can lose it all by just moving, then don't remember it. You can also go back, either if you happen to do that, you can go back to the first position as you woke up and see if you can recapture it, let's say. So you maybe remember it even if you move, and then you may miss out of some things but usually I forget if I don't recall it when I stay still for a moment. So after a few weeks you won't need these stages, but you will just be able to walk with them whenever you want to, just by closing your eyes before you fall asleep and softly say the name and imagine portraying this relative or angel in front of you that you want to see. So, but to begin with, maybe go through these measures. Okay. Dream temple. I'm so inspired by that now. So to communicate with spirits, we have probably always done that. It's natural to us. Yeah. So, and also previously, in Grace in Europe and in wherever, in Russia and so on, that they had also made those chambers for Grace as large so that they could walk around in them and hold ceremonies and so on. And the relics, if you say, that's maybe just for saints, but the leftovers is a very bad word for that maybe. But they were used in ways to connect the spirits of the past, so to help them give good crop or so on, or a mild short winter, or so on those solstices and also the equinoxes. Those sunbeams were just hitting, let's say, the grave chambers in a wall when the sun went up, and created then the resurrection, of the ancestors. Yeah. So many of those places, those old places, maybe all of them in a way or another, have their connection to those equinoxes or solstices. I won't go into details on that. And now, when it's here, it's like 29th of October now. So in a few days there will be Halloween or All Saints Day then. or sowing, and that's like when supposedly the time when the ancestor spirits will be especially close. But since I feel them always, I've never actually felt it more this time. But yeah, it's good to anyways focus in on it in a way, and it have been a tradition for very long. So I think it have some what to say, relevance. Yeah, maybe to it. Yeah. There are many ways we can then both see, hear, and communicate clairvoyantly with our spirits. Whether it's haunted houses or past relatives that have a message to their living relatives. So mediumship then, there are actually various ideas about that, what that is. But it's a process when a sensitive person that is then called a medium or a channel is used by spirits to communicate with living. So you are kind of an interpreter, and I feel that I'm hired by them. I don't do it even for those that I do readings for, although hopefully they will be helped. I have that intention, that it will be good for them, and then that it will benefit them. But it's I'm kind of hired by the spirits. That's how I feel. It's to them I am responsible to try to do a good job and not to mess with the messages. I try to be as correct as possible as I get it, because I really want to honor the fact that they want to use me as a channel, the medium. So and also medium that practice physical mediumship, they also can be a channel that things move, like they can create like furniture to move and without a person. I mean, this was something we did very young. Anyways, me and my friends. But if it's a mental, I have never been really so interested and fascinated by those things. It have felt like more of a show, and I have been interested in deeper things as I feel it. But people do what they want. But anyways, this mental mediumship is very exciting, and some mediums then go into deep trance and let this spirit or their spiritual guide use their voice and gestures, even their mimic, their facial expressions and so on, like trance mediums. And several people lately, like this last year at least, have told me that I could work like a trance medium. I know I can, but I have not allowed it much. It's enough as it is, I think, right now, but it's good. So if there is some sounds messing in this video and the voice is strange, maybe that's what's happening. Oftentimes it's a computer that is messing up, but it had been a long time ago since that happened, actually. Yeah. But also through the voice, the spirit guide can communicate directly with the living and show their knowledge and so on. And there is a North American Indian silver birch. Did that in over 60 years through the body of Maurice Barbanel until she passed in 1981. And single spirits can also use their voice on the medium to identify who they are, like a past relative or friend to those who consult a medium, that you can like feel how they would say a thing or act also, even if you don't go into trance mediumship fully. And other mediums use their own voice, and it's just in light trance. I go deep in trance and write it down after, or get up and like meanwhile and then tell afterwards. I don't sit meanwhile I am in trance with someone. I can do that, but it's very, very light trance, so it's more difficult. And also I don't want to read the person. I don't want to be doing cold readings unintentionally and sitting next to someone, you see how they react. So maybe you can read them rather. And that's, I don't want to do that, not be fooled by it even. So I've told you before, but yeah. So through help of their spiritual guides that they might consult then and talk to, they see and hear those those who have passed clairvoyantly or clairaudiently, or can identify them by feeling them or describing how they are as a person, or sometimes with names or events or expressions that only the one who seeks this advice from the medium knows. Yeah. And Queen Victoria of England, she often communicated with through a medium with her husband, Prince Albert, after he had passed. Yeah. And there are these... yeah, there are many others who have done that also. It's not uncommon there. That yeah. Anyways, I won't go into details on that, but also the ability to speak and hear the presence of spirits is natural and very normal. So, I mean, it can pop up to anyone. If we are just, it's about receptiveness, and as I said, space. Sometimes it can pop into whatever when we are very active in what we do, and so. But usually we have some space to be open to it. Yeah, and some people just have that once or twice or a few times, and then it's not like their life to communicate with spirits all the time, as it is for me and some others. So if you want to help others by being a channel with messages from past relatives or so on, you can go through courses, of course, but you can actually develop. There is a bunch of good information out there. You can develop it through yourself, but you have to kind of practice. It's good to have someone. I had Lena Ranahag, as I've talked about, for 10 years as I could, as a mentor, that I could, she could guide me a bit. And that was really the confirmation that I got, and she saw how I worked and was fascinated how I could see things in that kind of clear way that I do, like specific words and so. And but she also thought I'm still like that, but she thought I didn't have to say to her how I see things. She saw how I saw things, which is awesome. But I also I'm careful. I double check, triple check, and 15 times. So it takes a little bit of time. Although I really want it very sharply. I wanted to see it very clearly until I convey it, because I don't want to go wrong. I don't want my mind to be messing in things. So I really try to double check it with myself so that I am neutral, that I don't project things. And it takes time, and it's probably not needed, but I have been doing that all the time. I try to do it quicker and not so many times. But I know she said that to me, that you don't need to, you can just go with it immediately. But I do that oftentimes. So, and that's also why I like to do it beforehand by myself, to sit for an hour by myself and then be with a person and connect with them. But I have done readings, sitting face to face with people also doing readings, and that have been awesome. So usually I feel the presence of the spirits more vividly, the ancestors and so on, if I sit right next to the person I'm doing the reading for. But it have been possible also very strongly through the net and whatnot, so it works. Anyway, so it's good to have someone there that have experience, that can guide and encourage you and so on, because there are several things that you may have to stumble on a few stuff, especially in your connection with others, if you don't have someone that you can like share this with and ask someone. And yeah, but there are also courses, but there are other ways as well. Because there are those who have these diplomas and so on, and it's not wrong, because you have gone through a certain course and maybe they are valid in people's eyes as mediums, those who have signed those or whatever, but it's still the spirit world themselves who constantly validate you as a medium. So, and you can have that diploma and then digress from your purpose, so it won't work all that well anyway. So yeah, so I think it's not needed to be a good medium though. But also you have to be gentle and have a feeling for when it's better not to say something. I have been doing my been stepping on people's toes quite sometimes from the beginning, being very spontaneous with what I've seen or heard or experienced, because I thought that was what they asked for, what they wanted from me, and people have reacted not so good. So I realized that, okay, it was really insensitive of me not to realize how vulnerable they are now, and that this may sound very scary or confusing and not helpful for them, and so on. So I've been better at trying to keep some to myself, and even asking if they really want to hear everything, as Lisa Williams used to ask. I have picked that up more and more, and sometimes they actually tell me that, the spirits, to ask it first, because then it's all clear, then I can say whatever comes through. But still, sometimes you just feel that it's more sometimes it's more to you, they convey things to you, but it's not meant as to be given forward to their client. So you see things about them and whatnot that they may not even be ready to, like, that it should be discovered and whatnot, and you have to just move instead, and you can start to feel the difference there when you work with it. So but it's like being a cheerleader a bit, and also sharing your experience and how to understand things. But it's an ongoing process. You can always get better. All these things that I do, there is no end to how much you can learn. So you're never fully there. It's an ongoing communication, and also the spirit guides themselves will inform you. One of the most positive things with going into a course or group of things, or even if it's just with a group with friends or so on, is the fact that you get the feedback. Because without knowing what you know, I mean, you can sit and do all kinds of practices by yourself, but it's only when you get that feedback or you get the confirmation from others that you know what you can do. So otherwise you may question it yourself forever, or maybe you would believe that you can a lot of things and haven't been able to actually do it correctly, or perceiving that way. So so you need that in some way or another, to have test persons anyways, to say that you practice it, so that you can see how good you are. I was really surprised when I started doing it as a service to others, that I just by trying psychometry first time, I knew immediately I could do that, but I had never tried because I'd never heard that you do that, and so it's like fun. Anyways, and also, not only do you help the persons who have lost someone to even see that there is more to life than this. People question that, even if they get very many proofs, let's say, it takes a lot for people to actually trust or believe that, if that's something they want to know, sort of. And also you work with helping spirits to move on as well. You help both sides, so to speak. And also, if you acknowledge that spirit's history in life and accept it, then usually they can let go of it, and so they can pass on. And there are many ways that you can use your mediumship ability on, or you can use them in these ways together as well. So you can speak with your own past family members that may be or have already become your spiritual guides, and you can also be conscious of the guardians for your home or the land where you live, or so that you can live in harmony with them and get their blessings and happiness to you and your family, and also to understand why a house is haunted and how you can help to resolve that, as they call it, balancing now, but that disturbance, so that the living that live there now can live happily, and or sometimes even coexist with this, let's say, ghost. And because ghosts that make noise and so on around the house can be very irritating. Or even irritated, because you can have disturbed them without meaning to, and maybe maybe you do a renovation in your house and they used to react at that. Maybe they love that part very much and you didn't ask them for permission, kind of, or something. And when you understand that, you can resolve it by talking to them when it's calm and still. So you can be a problem solver kind of there. So you understand each other's goals. And you can also get to know your other spiritual guides and teachers. Some that, unlike angels, usually they have lived on earth, then maybe many hundred years from now, but they have chosen to protect you and help you in your everyday life and act as like middle men, middle women, middle hands in your contact with the spirit world. Because sometimes my guides come through and give information that have not happened a lot, but I think it's because they are the most skilled at like communicating through the dimensions, rather than some of my ancestors, for example, or their ancestors, whomever I do the reading for. So they can convey the things that needs to be said in a much more efficient way, because they are so very good at that. And most professional mediums do have a special spirit guide that they will work with during the session or interpret messages from other people. They help with that but it doesn't always, and also they may stand back a bit, although they help. They still won't be the ones conveying messages. You will communicate with the past ones or guides and so on of others. And sometimes they many times actually do say who they are. Sometimes the message is more important, so they don't care about that. But sometimes they say that there is a guide on a different level than the ancestors. And usually, I know mediums, there are different schools, but some think that you should only talk to those ancestors then that they know, and you should exactly describe them and so. But I think in my practice, I've thought that maybe I should do it that way or so on. But I feel like that have always been the case so far, that what they have needed have come through. And so I kind of trust that. And it surprises me sometimes what comes through and who comes through and so. But I still see that they got exactly what they needed at the moment. So therefore, I don't know, why should I meddle with that? Why should I direct it in detail like that, control whatever exactly from where the message comes? I think it is the ones that are most important then. It may have to do with my own, where I tune in, but I don't consciously anyways tune into specific realm, let's say. I just open myself up to what would be of help for the person and for those who would want to. And sometimes I ask my guides to communicate with their guides or ask their guides to come through to me with what is best for them or not. So depends. Yeah. So let's see. Shall I go on and on and on? No, I will do just this last, and then I will pause for a bit. So one thing you can do. These have been not informational. You think, hey, little one, hey. So he said you can focus on the third eye, you know. So because mediumship works through the power or the ability of the inner psychic or the so-called third eye, that you can identify between your brows, but above your physical eyes, then in the middle of the forehead. Then, so to use this night eye that is sometimes called, it gives you the ability to see the spirit forms that is in the everyday life as well. But sometimes you see them three-dimensional, even as when they lived. I've seen that sometimes, even with my eyes open like that. So, yeah, there are so many things you can do, and I could give a lot of examples on that, or how it have been done by several. But I will just ignore that for now. And this practice, anyways, do it once a week in at least half an hour, and you will start to see and hear spirits more clearly. First, you need a flashlight, even if you're indoors. And then you find a quiet, dark place, and if if you need to, then make it darker by pulling the curtains in front of the windows, and put in earplugs even if you need. And if you're outdoors, you have to work in total darkness. You can do that if you live on the countryside. What's wrong with my little cat? She's like very curious on this plastic bag that I have. Yeah. I had some, like, it was wrapped around the water bottles. She is so curious on that now. So, anyways, otherwise you have to like camp or find a dark cave or tunnel or something. Sit or stand in this dark place, anyways, whether it's indoors and probably mostly likely, and just stare into the darkness towards a wall and focus on something, a mark or some object like a mirror that is hanging on the wall or something, and the room will be more and more visual, and you will see it more and more the more you get used to the dark. And outdoors you can focus on a large tree or bush or something, and then switch on and off your flashlight continuously, like a flash in a camera, so that it's lit up different things in your room, like a tree or a wall or whatever where you are now, and imprint these in your mind, where you, as I have described before, how you could do with other methods, but never mind, but do this then. And then turn off the flashlight and imagine this, that the light shines on this place so that you can see all these things clearly. And repeat these 3 steps, but the first is like having it all dark there, and then flash, and then turn it off. That's the step. And also try to really focus on the images. What's wrong with little baby? Yeah. But lessen the times, how many times you actually turn the flashlight on and off, until you can eventually just dismiss this step, and you can see the places clearly in the dark as if it's fully lit. And then use always your psychic protection and think of yourself like embraced or surrounded by this circle of light before you go forward. And then you can also take a bottle of carbonated mineral water and just sprinkle some drops in these 4 upper chakras, middle of the where you start your hairline, what you say, in the middle of the brows and the throat and the pulse of both of your hands, or the wrist of the pulse of the wrist, what you say, which is for the heart chakra. Then that will protect you before and meanwhile you have contact with spirits, and can also be repeated afterwards. And if in any case you get frightened, just find some pouring water and put a little bit on your hair and face and your hands. And if you find a place that is says to be haunted, like an old, those old rocks or abandoned convent or battlefield or something, and if you visit that after dark, and the winter is actually good when it's where it's like dark very early, and some places you can hardly see any light at all. So, but if you need to work in daylight, you need to find a dark corner or of a room or a convent building or so on, and stare into that. And then imagine that you have this, you shine with the lights on and off quickly to get that emotion, that feeling that you do that. And when you're ready, send like a beam of light from your memory, or not from a memory, from your mind, I mean. And the light will then, in this light, you will see the silhouette of a ghost or the spirit of the place or so on reflected back. And when you know this technique perfectly and have practiced it for a while, you can also work in daylight by projecting a glittering dark or silver beam instead of light. Then you see how this silver vanishes like fog, and then you will see these spirits in a frame of darkness and white light against this old-time flimmering, what do you say, those black and white movies, the films like such that I've described also before. Do you understand what I mean? Yeah. And then you practice that until you can see spirits and ghosts that belong to a place almost everywhere. And some spirits you will just perceive, though when they can't actually show themselves as spirits and communicate. And then you won't have to project light anymore, because you will be aware of special shimmering area where the ghost is going to appear. So, and then you're ready to see ghosts and spiritual guides and so on that are connected to or protect certain individuals and so. Those that you only perceive much flatter or more in a fog than an actual spirit are those who are unaware of you, since they more are like memories that are etched into the walls at a place or in nature. So look a little bit on the side of a person when they talk to you or behind them, and soften your eyes focus so that when you're really relaxed, as you do when you look into the wall of a room and so on, so then you will see an image of those guides built up gradually. So, and if a person feels very vulnerable, maybe she or he, aside from the guides or the guide or guides, have a grandma or grandpa or relative from further back in time floating around close and protecting them. So this figure will like build up slowly, and the guides usually isn't one side of the person, first like a black and white image and then 3-dimensional and full of color. So if you close your eyes, the most important spirits and the guides' faces will be clear in your mind's eye. Other images that aren't all that clear can also show up outside of your mind, like persons that you may actually know and so on. And that can start happening already before. I mean, this doesn't have to go in this order. But then, so, yeah. It depends on what you want to see and what you want to connect with. So to see spirits, even if it's only in your mind, and this inner clairvoyance, that some people, even those excellent mediumships, stay with this inner mind mediumship. That's the first and most important step to mediumship on all levels and in all forms. So you should maybe not jump ahead to this right away. But when you go into an old house, a convent, or even a ruin of a castle, or ask the spirits if they have anything against you looking around, and if someone wants to show you something or a sign. You don't have to say that out loud, but it's generally, I mean, if you treat them respectfully, if you go into someone else's home, like, even if they died hundreds of years ago, that's sweet to like ask them if it's okay and so. And to develop a friendly relationship with spirits is very important. Those ghost hunters, or those who extinguish like ghosts, are not more welcome at those ghosts than insensitive people that visiting living people that just walk in unannounced and start to dig around their private things in your home, like. So feel if this is the right place for you, and if there is a spiritual presence on an old place then that feel like not pleasant or not friendly, then ask them as a friend, like, you can go in your direction and I go in my direction. I won't bother you more, and blessings and peace and so. And you can also sprinkle some water on yourself and then leave the place, that exact spot at least. And so courtesy, like, should be used even in nature, but with guides and also past relatives. And some people just don't want to talk to through a medium. And you will feel that also. And sometimes when someone comes to you and wants you to, want someone to come through to them through you, maybe the ones don't want that. They also feel very close oftentimes to the person and want to convey their messages directly through them. So, anyways, you can describe what you feel and see if this happens. If they don't want to communicate, you can say it to the person you help, or you can also suggest other ways that they can get personal contact by holding an item they have inherited, or talk to or ask the past relative to show in a dream or so on. You can give them examples how to do it themselves. But many are very willing to communicate telepathically also. Sometimes you only get few, and you only get words or phrases in your mind and don't hear a voice, or it is written, like I said sometimes. And even if you won't hear their exact voice, you can hear it, and you can even hear accents. Or I've also heard different languages sometimes, even those that I don't understand. And if you want to understand the spirits more correctly and to get like a positive communication with them, interpret the messages they have for this person that they are beside then you need to use your other psychic abilities to gain as much information as possible. So then focus on the emotions of this presence, and if it's a relative that I passed or a ghost that is in a haunted house, just ask them softly, who are you and why are you here, and can I help you in some way, and wait and let these impressions and images from this apparition, but this one you see, build up in your mind, so that you maybe spontaneously will get into this ghost's personal history then, or spirit, and offer this presence sympathy and acceptance as you would do to a living person, but do it like mind to mind. And past relatives to a friend or client may show you symbols that have meaning for the person you work with, especially like a favorite flower or something, or they will convey a special phrase that is unusual, or an event that they had part in, or another one that they are, both they and the living know of. They may talk about that or showing that in some way. And just describe what you have received and ask your client if it means anything to them. And if you feel stuck, ask your guide to talk to the spirit's head guide. I mean, not the spirit's head guide, the client head guide. I mean, the main guide they have, to understand what this is actually about and how those images may fit in, so that you can offer a solution to what they mean. And there may be a missing link or something that, like when you lose the reception when you talk on phone, like on a cell phone or something, suddenly, so you may not pick up at all. It can be that the ghost liked those metaphors also, or had an unusual accent, or it can be different things. But then it could be easier talking to main guides that are usually quicker and more skilled in the communication between the worlds, because they work with that. So let's say so if something needs to be checked out, since it's family history, then ask a client to bring it up with an older relative, but before she knows if she get an answer, accept it's that it is a helpful message, like that they receive it as a helpful message. And when you feel or see a ghost from an deceased relative, move away, or when the link is like fading, then thank them and him or her, and say quietly, the most like go in peace and with my blessings and so on, and thank them. I mean, and even those very unhappy ghosts will feel release when someone listens to what they have to say, and when they are good or accepted. But if you don't have a lot of experience and training, you should try to have. You should not try to make a ghost go into the light. And so, exorcism is for priests and the most skilled mediums. Even they should be careful, because before they try to like throw a ghost out from a place that they may have chosen to stay on, because those poltergeist activities can be, you can explain them and calm them down maybe. So yeah. So yeah, try to have a friendly, respectful communication is generally the advice. And even if home feels bad, you could light candle and sprinkle some mixture of salt and water to cleanse the place and the peace of everyone, even the ghost. And then you can open a window and the doors and offer the spirit to walk away from there in peace and stay in harmony, or like stay in harmony in the place with the living ones in the place. And it may seem very strange to have to open doors and windows since they can move through walls, but still every ghost may not understand that, and then they stay against their will. And even if you didn't get a message that you understood from a relative or guides, you may have gotten help from a personal connection with the lost loved ones, which in the long run is a gift that that they can get help to get this personal connection. Yeah, in the long run, then that would be a greater gift than if you had been communicating like as a third part to them. So as they would have communicated through you as a third part. Yeah. And then there are some common symbols and archetypes that are usual as for mediums and so on, but I can talk about that some other time, so bye for now. But then you can like have your own, you start to recall, like, especially if you work with your own dreams, you start to see what the symbol says, but also you start to remember what it is a message for some symbols, but it could be good to keep like a journal of that maybe. Yeah. So now I will stop for today. Bye for now.